y'all, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Joriah Kwamé, and if you don't know who I am, let me introduce myself. I am a writer and performer most known for Little Miss Perfect by Taylor Louderman, and this is my channel where I do whatever I want. Today though, we're doing something that you guys want, which is me breaking down Ordinary. Now I did a video similarly to this earlier on my channel. I broke down Little Miss Perfect while I was at Ripley Girl Studios in New York, and that video got a lot of positive interaction. You guys really seemed to find it interesting hearing about my process and what I was thinking when I was writing the song, so I thought, why not do it again with Ordinary? Also, let's not pretend like it was totally my idea. You guys have been kind of demanding I do this, so I figure why not give the people what they want. And also, these videos are very fun for me because I just get to nerd out and geek out and talk about writing. So without further ado, let's get, but wait, first, you're here on my channel, you're consuming the content, so why not just hit that subscribe button and ring that bell like Quasimodo so you don't miss any of my new uploads. And just to keep you guys up to snuff, a reminder that at 20K subscribers, I will be posting the first look at Little Miss Perfect, the musical, which is going to be really exciting. I have asked you guys in my community posts what questions you guys have about the show or about the process or about what it's going to be, and hearing you guys' questions is really helping me figure out how to frame this video. So go ahead and comment below any questions you might have, and I will try to answer some of those as soon as possible. So for now, let's talk Ordinary. Now, when I am writing a musical theater song, I oftentimes try to come at it from the angle of the actor. I have actually been acting the same amount of times that I've been writing music, so the two are just so linked. For me, it is much more effective to go in with the intention of what will the performer who is interpreting this work go through on this journey that you're giving them. On the page, I want to give you a map that allows you to maneuver your way to the discoveries that I think that that character needs to make in that moment. And therefore, as long as you sing the song and interpret the words as they are on the page, there's no way for the story to not come across. And I think that that is something that I've tried to do in all of my works. And I think Ordinary was actually a breakthrough moment for me because I was able to, I think, get the point across in a very sharply drawn way. So let's talk about it specifically. One of the main sensations that I want to capture in the music of this song is the idea of tension. Now, tension obviously can mean a lot of different things. In a dramatic sense, oftentimes it means what is standing between, it can be an obstacle or a conflict that creates the tension, but it also can be in a song the ambiance that the music and the melody and the words create. That can create tension. Tension cues us into how we're supposed to feel in any given moment. And so with Ordinary, I very much wanted to capture the tension of someone who is trying to hold their quirkiness back. Someone who is trying to go with the grain. You know, going with the grain was definitely an image that popped into my brain pretty early on in the writing process, and I kind of let that lead me. For example, let's think about the first section of this song.
I notice how she looks at me, but I pretend that I don't see.
So notice there how we use suspension. Looks at me, I don't see. That note there, the way that it sits in that key, is the suspension. The note isn't conclusive, which gives us the feeling of a sort of apprehension, which, you know, it's fitting for this. But then we hear the notes conclude on what she is sure about.
It's easier if I let the tension subside.
Subside. That's a period note. Period note isn't really a musical term, but you know what I'm saying. Also notice how the melody rides the rhythm. It's giving it a sense of all the syncopation. Notice how she but I pretend about that syncopation on top of the vocals very much gives us a feeling of jumbled cluster, which is exactly what we want here. I also try to use a lot of consonant sounds here to create a bit of a plosive, intense feeling. Notice how she looks at me, but I pretend that I don't see, as opposed to, you know, O or Ahs or oo sounds. There's a lot of explosive consonants that give us a feeling of some sort of abrasion, which all feeds into the audience taking that on and going, whoa, she's got a lot going on in there. And that's exactly what we want. Another metaphor that I think is very helpful when acting, but also when you're learning to write musical theater, is the steaming kettle metaphor. Now, anyone who's a dancer might have heard this when you're learning jazz, especially if you're learning like Fosse. I believe Fosse was the one who coined the term of like, he wants to create choreography that feels as though a kettle is steaming, and the tension that's underneath is about to blow that lid off, and the kettle will whistle, and everyone will know that we're at the highest point. But actually, the most power is within those moments before that sound and before the top blows off. The tension underneath is what makes us so locked in. So now at the chorus, she starts talking about how she is in a state of solitude. She feels like she's just one in the herd. I think the wording there is very specific. She doesn't say, I feel like I'm just a part of the herd. If you say that you're a part of a herd, that actually makes me think more that you are a part of a group. You're not alone. You are in a pack, per se. So the wording of one in the herd makes you feel as though, even though she is in a big group, she is alone. And that's also represented, if you notice, the music kind of pulls back there, and we just get open chords with her voice isolated from the music, which gives her a you're on your own type of vibe. Also note the dissonance in the piano part on the word brain. Keeping the quirks in my brain. The music underneath goes, There is something trying to come to the surface that actually, quite literally, her vocal is pushing back down. She doesn't acknowledge that dissonance in her melody. Keeping the quirks in my brain. She doesn't do anything like that to make you feel like it's tension. She's fighting the piano part that is writing up and letting her know how she really feels. That's something that I really love to do when I'm writing music, is let the accompaniment itself inform the listener how the character is really feeling. Another moment of this song that I think could be glossed over and not noticed is the line, if I turn the handle, am I asking for a scandal? There, the turning of the handle is implying a doorknob, which is implying going through different doors. Now, of course, this is a nod to the Owl House franchise and how the door metaphor is related here in the sense of choices. She's actually processing it even further. Not even once I go through the door will I be okay. If I turn the handle to start the process of changing, am I asking for a scandal? You know, that has a different feeling. And I think that is a line that shouldn't go unnoticed if you are singing this song. This is definitely a song that has a build. As we get into the second verse, the way that I orchestrated it quite literally is so that the instruments are building throughout the track. It starts off pretty much just being piano, and then a little bit of violin comes in, and then eventually some drums kick in later. At this point, the second verse actually, there is a little bit of hop to the way that the music sounds in this moment. You know what I'm saying? It has a little bit of drive to it to let us know that she is more on a track and she knows what she's saying. This is an important detail because this deals with the idea of what the sensation of this song is. Now let's talk about that as a contrast from Little Miss Perfect. Little Miss Perfect very much is a suppressive song. A character has a lot bubbling up under the surface, and as they try to suppress themselves and seem normal, little bits of that kettle are being blown up. But eventually by the end, it is a sad song because at the very end, she fully suppresses those feelings and goes, I cannot feel like this. This is not happening. I am Little Miss Perfect, and the rest is not valid. This is the complete opposite in the sense that the character throughout the journey is becoming more and more free, and more steam is blowing off the top of this song until they come to the discovery that they will come at the end. So yeah, the second verse is very much building. She's being a little more quirky. She's going bah. She's talking about peas in a pod and then correcting herself. She's being a little bit more herself. But then she goes back to the chorus, and it almost feels like it takes her by surprise. I really wanted to capture the feeling of the music quite literally pushing her through the song in ways that don't feel that she is fully in control of the momentum of the song. Kind of similarly to Moving Too Fast by Jason Robert Brown. Throughout that entire song, the music quite literally is moving too fast for the vocals, and it does a nice literal sensation of pushing that singer forward. This is a similar situation to that. Who am I kidding? This isn't some sweet beginning. It's just a detour to the end. And back to the hurt. You know, quite literally on back to the rhythm is quick there, and it takes us right unexpectedly back to that chorus. Something else to notice here on the second chorus is that when she says, go with the grain and quirks on my brain, we hear ensemble voices. Here, it's almost as though she's hearing the voices of everyone who wants her to be normal. Saying, go with the grain and keep those quirks in your brain. You know what I'm saying? It's this outside force impending in on her that she's hearing. That drives us right into the full doubt of the song, which is the bridge of the song, which is the part that calls back to Little Miss Perfect. Believe it or not, that callback moment that I put in Ordinary was very much a spur of the moment decision. I knew that the song needed a bridge, and I got to this point. She just said, "What if I'm dreaming?" That would evoke such fear and doubt and insecurity about the situation. So of course the text here would need to say, should I do this? What are the options for me to do? And then I immediately thought of Little Miss Perfect, and the rest is history. So then we have one of my favorite parts of the song, which is when the character goes on a different path. And what I mean by that is there is a musical turn. The term musical turn, wow, means something very specific. I'll put it here. I kind of remember that is that it does kind of quite literally sound like if the song is a person walking on a path, on that note they take a different path musically, which makes you feel something different. We get this part vocally,
I play a part,
which makes us feel that this is a new discovery, and that's exactly what's happening. So that brings us to the chorus the final time, which feels very epic and features stings as opposed to eighth note pulses, bing over my you know, the piano part is pulsing there. Or the first time where it's held chords like this. This time there crashes, which emphasize the ideas. Earlier in the song, she could not keep up with the song, right? Now she quite literally is taking back control of her life and this song. She goes, I don't want to go with the grain, so I'm going to keep singing without the piano, and if the piano decides to join in with me, great. And what happens is it locks in and they catch up, and now the groove explodes again. And that creates that feeling of victory. Because in a little way, this is the character deciding that she is the author of her own story and also the conductor of this song. And now, this is my absolute favorite part of the song. Brave and I'll be going to make a choice and change my mind. I won't. That section is a proclamation of who she is. And this is where the ending of the song actually does kind of remind me of Little Miss Perfect in a kind of complete opposite way, if that makes sense. In Little Miss Perfect, she comes to the conclusion that she can never be this girl that she really is. She gets to that end, and it's a very conclusive statement. It's never worth it when you're Little Miss Perfect. I'll be anything but ordinary. I really like the idea of a song ending on not only a musical button, but also a thought button. I was in love with Into the Woods and how in those songs you hear Little Red talk about, like, how did this happen? Oh, that's how this happened, and this is the lesson that I learned. Stinger, and that format is something that really embedded itself in me. Sometimes leaving someone on the edge and leaving someone on the cliff or suspending the end can be effective, and it gives it a more of a dark, mysterious feel. But here, I wanted to make the point to not leave it even up to interpretation. Now, if you're singing this song, here are the things that I think are most important to pay attention to. You have to evoke the sense of that tension that we talked about, that kettle. You want to be the kettle when you're singing. If you start the song with the same intensity that you end, I notice how she looks at me. If you're so panicked and you decide to just play on the panic and the quirk of it, the song isn't going to really go anywhere. You're not going to have anywhere to go. If you think about it, where the song starts is not the discovery that the song ends. The song starts with the realization of, oh my God, my friend likes me. So you have to find the journey of the realization of the friend to the realization that you have to be who you are and that you will be whoever you are because you're not afraid to be who you are. Another thing that an actor would need to really focus on this song is what we call antithesis. And all antithesis means is essentially the contrast between two things. In Shakespeare, you learn that every time it's or but, so those are indications of an antithesis, and you're supposed to kind of play into that with the way that you color those lines. There's a lot of that in this song. Oh my God, it's okay in the books that you're gay, and it always works out for them, but, well, the characters I read never act or look like me, you know? Finding those moments of perspective changes is the best way to easily be able to realistically act thought process. And, you know, we're computers. We process information and we decide what we're going to throw out. We decide what information we're going to ignore. And every person is different. So if you do this honestly, that's how you can assure that your interpretation of the song won't be like anyone else's. The last thing that I think I need to really punch as advice for young singers is don't imitate anyone else's voice. The amount of Little Miss Perfect covers that I will hear, where I hear someone with an amazing voice, where their voice is so unique and singular, but I can hear that a part of them is trying to mimic Taylor Lautner's voice, which Taylor Lautner is amazing, and I totally understand why anyone would want to sound like her. However, no one is ever going to be able to sound like Taylor Lautner. No one's going to be able to ever sound like you. So use the recordings of singers singing songs as a guide and allow that to teach you how the song goes, and definitely take, you know, advice from what they do vocally. That's what some of the best voice teachers do. That is different than mimicking someone's quality of their voice. That oftentimes can come across as disingenuous, and it can also just take away your artistry. And yeah, that is the key to nailing my song, Ordinary. If you love the song Ordinary and you are a musical theater actress or just someone who loves to sing or play piano, this sheet music is on my website at joriahkwamé.com/shop. I will link it below, and you can go pick up sheet music for that. In fact, get $2 off if you use the coupon code Joriah Kwamé TV. Go ahead and check it out and pick yourself up a copy so that you can get to work on this song and use this video as a guide to make sure that you nail it better than everyone else in the audition room. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with me and talking about this song. Make sure that you give this video a like, and make sure that you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell like Quasimodo so you don't miss any of my new uploads, because if you're not here when we premiere, you know the rest. Period. Thank you guys so much for tuning into my YouTube channel, and I hope to see you upstairs neighbors. I'm convinced they are descendants of elephants, not because of, you know, I've never seen them, but they, you know, they stomp like they might be a part of that family. Period. Thank you guys for tuning into my YouTube video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.